I used to believe that reacting quickly made me strong, that showing my anger, my frustration, my pain right away was a sign of courage. But now I see how wrong I was. Reacting is the easy way out. Reacting is giving away my power to the moment, to someone else's words, to circumstances I cannot control. Real strength is not in reaction. Real power is in control. Control of my mind, my emotions, my life. I have learned that when I react, I am weak. When I pause, when I choose, when I respond, that is when I am strong. Every time someone tries to push my buttons, test my patience, or provoke me, I have a choice. I can either give in to the heat of the moment, or I can rise above it. I can let my instincts take over, or I can remind myself who I am, a person in control of their destiny. I am not a slave to my feelings. I am the master of my emotions. This is my commitment, to never react out of impulse or anger again, to respond with wisdom, with calm, with power. The illusion of reaction. I remember so many moments in my life when I completely lost control. Those times when my reactions weren't just simple responses, but fierce, explosive actions that ended up burning bridges instead of building them. I can still feel the sting of those moments when my harsh words cut deeper than I ever intended, or when my angry silence spoke louder than any apology could. Instead of drawing people closer, my reactions pushed them away. At the time, I convinced myself that I was strong, that I was standing up for myself, defending my honor, protecting my pride. I told myself I was justified, that I had every right to react the way I did. But deep inside, even if I didn't want to admit it, I knew those were not victories. They were defeats, losses in a battle I hadn't even meant to fight. Why did I lose? Because every time I reacted impulsively, I surrendered my power. I handed over the steering wheel of my life to whatever had triggered me. A rude comment, a disappointment that felt personal, an injustice that stung my pride. Instead of being the driver, I became a passenger, controlled by the emotions that surged up inside me. The world dictated my mood, and I obeyed. I allowed external forces, things I couldn't control, to decide how I felt, how I acted, and ultimately how my life unfolded. This was not strength. It was weakness disguised as power. True power doesn't come from letting the world dictate your emotions or your actions. It comes from something far deeper and far more difficult. It comes from deciding your mood, regardless of what the world throws at you. It means looking at the same rude comment or the same frustrating situation and choosing consciously and deliberately not to let it control you, to refuse to let it steal your peace, to say, "This is my mind, my heart, and I will not hand them over to you." That is real strength. That is freedom. And that is the turning point where I started reclaiming my power, where I learned that my emotions are not a leash but a tool, one I see on troll, not one that controls me. The moment before reaction, I want you to do something for me. Imagine right now the exact split second before you react. Picture it clearly in your mind. Maybe someone just said something hurtful to you. Maybe a problem that you weren't expecting suddenly crashes into your day like a storm. Maybe you feel your blood start to boil, your heart race, and your fists clench without even realizing it. That brief moment, just before you lose control, that's the moment I want you to focus on. What happens in that tiny fraction of time? Inside you, there is an overwhelming urge to explode, to shout, to lash out, to defend yourself fiercely. It feels like a storm raging in your chest, waves of anger and frustration crashing over you. Your mind screams for immediate action, for a quick reaction that will make the other person feel the impact of your pain or protect you from whatever threat you perceive. It's almost automatic, like a switch flips, and suddenly you are no longer in control. But what if, just for a moment, you paused? What if, instead of giving in to that rush of emotions, you took a single deep breath? Just one breath. Maybe even just a second. A heartbeat's worth of stillness. That pause, as brief as it may seem, is where your true power lies. That pause is your chance to choose, to break free from the chains of impulsive reaction, and step into intentional response. In that space, you decide, will I lose my calm, my dignity, my power by reacting? Or will I respond thoughtfully, with intention and strength? That brief pause is the birthplace of strength, because it is the moment when you reclaim control. It's the difference between being ruled by your emotions and being the master of your emotions. That pause, that moment of calm, is the silent victory no one sees, but that changes everything. It's where the strongest, most successful people find their power, not in reacting, but in choosing not to. And that, right there, is the secret to living a life of peace, power, and control. Why don't I react? Because every reaction is temporary. Every angry outburst passes, but its consequences remain. Harsh words can never be taken back. Rash decisions haunt you. I choose not to react because I want long-term victory, not short-term relief. I want peace, respect, control, and clarity. Reacting gives me none of these. It only brings regret. So, I train myself to hold my ground, to breathe through the fire, to walk away if I must, or to speak carefully when I'm ready. This takes discipline. It takes courage. But I am worth it. The power of response. When I respond instead of react, I gain so much more than I ever imagined. It's not just a simple shift in behavior. It's a transformation in how I engage with the world and with myself. When I respond, I gain respect, both from others and, more importantly, from myself. That respect comes from knowing I am not a slave to my impulses or emotions, but someone who chooses thoughtfully and deliberately. I stand taller because I honor my own values and principles, and others begin to see me as steady, reliable, and wise. I gain control over my emotions and my future. Reaction is a loss of control, a surrender to the immediate rush of feelings, anger, frustration, fear, or excitement that cloud judgment. When I react, I give away my power to the moment. But when I respond, I reclaim that power. I decide how I want to feel and how I want to act. I shape my future with intention, not impulse. This control is empowering. It allows me to steer my life's direction instead of drifting with every emotional tide. I gain clarity, too. My mind becomes clear and focused, no longer fogged by the heat of the moment. When I react, everything becomes a blur. Words come out wrong, decisions become rash, and the consequences can be costly. But responding gives me the space to breathe, to think, and to see the bigger picture. I'm able to separate what is truly important from what is just noise or distraction. When I respond, I choose my words like a weapon forged with wisdom. My words become deliberate tools, designed to build, to heal, to communicate with precision. My actions become rooted in purpose, not passion. Purpose that aligns with my values, goals, and long-term vision. This choice changes how others perceive me. It builds trust and respect, strengthens relationships, and opens doors that reaction would slam shut. And that, more than anything else, changes my life. It is a slow but steady revolution in my character and my destiny. Responding, rather than reacting, is the ultimate act of self-mastery. It is the path to true strength, peace, and success. How I train myself not to react. This is not easy. It takes practice. Here's how I do it. Awareness. I remind myself constantly. Don't react. Breathe. Think. The moment I feel the fire rising, I pause. I name the emotion. I am angry. I am hurt. This awareness breaks the automatic reaction. Breathing. I take deep breaths, slow, intentional. This calms my nervous system and slows down my heart rate. Distance. When possible, I remove myself physically or mentally from the trigger. A short walk, counting to 10, or simply looking away, gives me the space to regain control. Reflection. I ask myself, what is the real issue here? Is this worth losing my peace? What is my goal in this situation? Choose my response. I decide how I want to react, or if I want to react at all. Sometimes the strongest response is silence. The freedom of not reacting. Not reacting doesn't mean weakness or submission. It means freedom. Freedom from being a victim of circumstance. Freedom from emotional chaos. Freedom to live life on my terms. I am free because I do not let external events control me. I am free because I respond, not react. The results I've seen. Since choosing not to react, my life has changed dramatically. Relationships that used to break down now grow stronger because I communicate calmly and clearly. I make better decisions because I am not clouded by anger or fear. My stress levels are lower because I don't carry the weight of regret from rash words or actions. People respect me more because I show strength through composure, not aggression. Most importantly, I respect myself more because I know I am in control. When you feel like reacting, remember this: the urge to react is natural, but it is not mandatory. When you feel your blood rising, your voice wanting to shout, your mind racing to strike back, stop. Take a breath. Remember who you are. You are bigger than this moment. You are stronger than your impulses. You are the master of your mind. What happens when you stop reacting? You become unshakable. You become the calm in the storm. You become the person others turn to when everything is falling apart. You become the leader of your life, your mission. From today, your mission is simple. Do not react. Pause, breathe, think, respond. Train yourself to hold that space. It will be hard at first. You will want to slip back into old habits. But every time you succeed, you grow stronger. Every time you resist, you reclaim your power. The vision. Ahead, I see a future where I am not controlled by my emotions, but guided by them. I see myself handling every challenge with grace. I see myself winning, not because I fight harder, but because I am smarter and calmer. I see peace. I see power. I see mastery. And I know this future is mine, because I choose not to react. Final words to myself, and you remember this always. Your reaction is your choice. Your response is your power. Do not give your power away to momentary anger or frustration. Own your emotions. Command your mind. Be the person who does not react, but who responds with courage, wisdom, and strength.